Welcome to the first weekly finance review of my finance journey. With the goal of this channel as a way to keep me accountable with my finances and motivated to keep my money in check, I think it's really been working because just in the first week, I've found myself a lot more motivated since starting this channel to track my finances and be more mindful of my spending. I've found myself having much better self-control when it comes to purchases, and I'm just not inclined to spend money when I don't need to. It's been a great help mentally, and I can see that I'm saving a lot more money, and I just really want to keep this momentum going. So, firstly, here is a very simple overview of this week's finances. So, as you can see here in the income and expenses section, I had $306 come in, $256 from my paycheck, with my expenses coming to $229.59. I added $79 into my investment portfolio and moved the $44.60 that I had left into my savings account. So you'll notice that the math isn't really mathing right now, but that's just because I had some money lying around before I had organized everything, being that this is the first week of my financial review. So overall, in my investment portfolio, I have $4,560.47, which I will take as the starting number for this financial journey, and $44.60 in my savings. Overall, though, I have made a profit of $221.54 as of right now with my investments. So for this week, I won't be going too in-depth into my investment portfolio as this is the first week regarding like changes. I'll be considering everything starting at a blank slate at this point. But with the money I put into my portfolio this week, I bought $15.21 of APLD, $30.40 of SCHD, and $30.40 of VXUS. But let's just go through the stock that I've chosen to invest in. So here I have invested in an ETF that tracks the NASDAQ 100, the iShares CNDX, which is the stock that I have the most money invested in currently at $1,566.30. The second most is VOO. It's currently at $724.33, which is Vanguard's ETF that tracks the S&P 500. I've also invested in VUG, Vanguard's growth ETF, currently at $515.22. Apple at $225.21. Nvidia at $221.46. Meta at $148.44. Alphabet at $135.18. IXUS, which is iShares Core MSCI Total International Stock ETF, at $102.61. TQQQ at $94.77. Microsoft at $93.64. Coca-Cola at $90.44. BHP at $87.50. DGRO, a dividend growth ETF, at $86.85. QQQ at $77.86. iShares ETF that tracks the Indian market, so INDA, at $60.84. Nestle at $60.53. VGT at $59.94. VTI at $45.60. American Express at $33.15. VXUS at $30.19. XLK at $30.03. SCHD at $29.78. And APLD at $10.60. I've also realized that I have a few ETFs that are really similar to each other, and I think I'm either going to stop putting money into the lower yielding ones or sell it and move the money into the better performing ETF. For example, like VXUS, VTI, and IXUS all track the international stock market. And according to Yahoo Finance, VTI has been outperforming the other two, as it has a 1-year daily total return of 28.94% compared to VXUS with 12.6% and IXUS at 12.71%. Once VXUS and IXUS goes out of the red and gets some profit for me, I'm going to sell them and probably move the money into VTI instead. But with my current plan right now, I want to finish putting some money in my watch list stocks, which will move them from my watch list into my portfolio. So with the money that I'm going to put into my portfolio next week, I'm going to put $20 into Equinix, Visa, AMD, and SMCI. Then I'm going to focus on investing in Nvidia just because it's growing so much right now. Maybe I'm getting a bit too swept away with the trend, but I am happy to take the risk. But at the same time, I'm still going to work on the goal of smoothing everything out and going to the goal of buying 10 shares of all the stocks in my portfolio. Although I do notice that I have a lot of stock kind of just spread out randomly everywhere. So maybe in the future, I might just review my portfolio and make everything more organized. But the reason I have so much right now is just because I do also want to focus on having regular dividend payouts. Because that is another goal I have of wanting to be able to live off dividends. Now to my expenses for this week. So I've spent $229.59 in total this week for my expenses. $124.45 was spent on food, which is just 55 cents below the budget I have for food each week, which is $125. I also only spent $30.30 on transport this week, compared to the $50 I have budgeted for transport. So just a little side note with that. With my transport expenses, there is a $50 cap, which means that every week I'll only be charged maximum up to $50 no matter how much I travel. I'm also really annoyed with myself for forgetting to cancel my subscriptions, meaning I had to waste $21.94, as you can see here, with Uber One, as well as my PS5 subscription. Although, here in my money saved column, I did have $61.16 saved from choosing not to take Ubers and walking instead, as well as choosing not to get bubble tea and just drinking water. And I'm actually quite proud of that, because any money saved is always really good. So this week has really been such a good start to my new finance journey. And I'm really excited for this finance journey, the channel, the documentating, and it just seems very promising. So I'm hoping to keep up the momentum and increase my long-term wealth. My goal is to be able to rebuild up my savings account, which acts as a emergency fund. So the goal is probably having around $10,000 to $15,000 in there. As well as building up my investment portfolio. I want to be able to invest in riskier stocks that hopefully will bring a lot of return, as well as having safer options such as investing in the S&P 500, as well as investing in some stock that have very strong dividend returns. Because I do want to be able to live off dividends at some point in the future. But right now the main goal is just really building and amassing a large amount of money and wealth so that I really don't have to stress about my finances in the future. So thank you so much for supporting me on this journey and joining me this week for this week's financial review. And I hope to bring the same momentum next week, and I will see you guys then for next week's weekly finance review.